Hey guys, welcome back to the Way of Truth Tarot. My name is Mandy. Today's reading is, as you can tell, another reading into the Jonbenet Ramsey investigation. For those of you who have been with me on this journey, you know my theories. If you're just joining me and you don't know my theory, I would suggest that you at least watch the last two readings of the Jonbenet investigation, because it explains my theory, and I'm not the only one that has come on to this theory. Now, this theory, I found out through the tarot. I didn't hear about it in any other avenue of the true crime world regarding Jonbenet. But recently, I have been stumbling across these other creators' videos that are in support of what I've uncovered in my readings. Well, this reading today is brought to you by yet another discovery that I stumbled across. And it again further backs up my theory. Again, if you're not familiar with my theory, just either start from the first episode of my JBR investigation and go through. If you do not want to do that, I get it. There's a lot of videos. If you don't want to do that and you just want, then go back to the last two that I just released, because that will, shine some light onto my theory. So this reading today was brought by, there's this podcast called True Crime Garage, I think it's called. I've never heard of it, but apparently it's really popular. And they had two guests on, and they're called the Zell brothers. I believe they are, what do you call them? Private investigators. I don't know if they're actual police officers or if they're just criminal investigators, privately. But they've been studying the Jonbenet Ramsey investigation since the 29th of December, 1996. So right from day one. And they, right at the beginning, they were cluing in on a child P-ring, okay? And the True Crime Garage episode, I just finished listening to them. There's 2 episodes, so it's quite lengthy. And oh my God, it further supports my theory, and it's not by coincidence that I am stumbling across these videos. They are in my awareness for a reason. Validating my theory, maybe encouraging, maybe it's telling, or the forces that be, the universe, is wanting me to probe it further. I don't know, but that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to link these 2 episodes in the description box. You can watch them if you want. I highly suggest you do, because it's quite an eye-opener. But there's one particular thing about these 2 episodes that I'm going to be doing today. So, one of the Zell brothers, I don't know his name. I forget his name. in 2000 and I want to say the early 2000s. I could be wrong. He was sent a poem. One of the Zell brothers was sent a poem from Lee Hill. Lee Hill was an attorney in Boulder. This guy, Stephen Miles, was asked by a member of St. John's Church to mail 2 poems. Stephen Miles was instructed to take a bus to Denver to mail the letters so that there was no, they couldn't find out who the sender was, right? Like, kind of like muddy the trail there a bit. So he mails the 2 letters. And he mails them sorry, I'm just, my notes. Okay, so Stephen Miles mailed the letters from Denver. One letter titled The 3-Man Poem was sent to attorney Lee Hill. Lee Hill then sent the poem, the 3-man poem, to the Zell brothers. That's how they got a copy of this poem. At the time, they did not realize there was a second poem that was different. They thought it was the same poem, but copied. But in fact, it was a completely different poem. And it was, and this just gave me chills. The poem was called The Manchurian Doll. If you go back to my old, the episodes I just released, the last readings I just did on the Jonbenet Ramsey investigation, we talked about Project Monarch, which is an offshoot of MK Ultra program. And what they do is they use abuse, SA abuse, and torture and fear to break down their victim's psyche so that they disassociate from themselves. And when they do that, therefore, they can imprint the wills of their own onto this person and basically create a Manchurian Candidate. If you guys ever read the book, Manchurian Candidate, or watched the movie with Denzel Washington, that's what we're talking about here. And it ties in to Project Monarch. And in my other readings, I touched on a religious aspect. This confirms the religious aspect of it because, like I said, a member of St. John's Church asked Stephen Miles to mail the poems. I know, this is nuts. So my reading today, I spent 3 hours. It took me 3 hours to write down this poem word for word because I had to like pause it, really make sure that I was hearing it right, then go back. And it's a long poem. It is... Okay, so the poem starts down here. We've got this whole page. It's a long poem. And is it ever chilling? Oh my God, is it ever freaking chilling? So what I want to do today, is I'm going to read through the poem and I'm going to pull cards. And we're going to see what we can get from this poem. This was not the video I was intending on doing, actually, today. I woke up from my nap, and that was the first video when I opened my YouTube app. And boy, was I slack-jawed. Just saying. So, that's what we're going to be doing today. I originally was going to go into Maura Murray Part 2, which I will do, but this I need to do now. So that is what I'm doing. I haven't looked online to see if we can actually get a copy of these poems. I didn't take time to write down the first one. But if you guys like this video and you want me to do that, I will absolutely do that. But this one specifically, actually the first poem references two major players in the case, Detective Steve Thomas and Linda Arndt, and the cat, it references the cat corpse that was left on Stephen Thomas's porch, and it referenced the cat blood smeared all over Linda Arndt's front door of her house. So that's just a little tidbit of what that poem is about. Anyways, we're going to get to the Manchurian Doll. Just that name alone gives me shivers down my spine. Like, I want to throw up. Anyway. Okay. So we're going to be doing tarot, we're going to be doing missing variables, and we're going to be doing whispers of the unsolved. Just going to quickly say my attunement prayer and we'll get started. Just one sec. All of my cards are completely out of order. Facing different ways. I don't know how that happened. Weird. Let me just do this real quick. Like, how are they all? Like, one's facing this way, the other faces, like, it's so weird. They usually always face the same direction. God damn it. Okay. I graciously call upon my guardian angels, spirit guides, ancestors, ascended masters, and I'm going to call on Jonbenet Ramsey if she wants to help us. I humbly ask you to assist me with the knowledge and answers I seek in this reading with as highest vibrational frequency as possible. I'm forever grateful for the gift of intuition that has been bestowed on me, and I intend to use this gift for the highest good, healing, and to bring myself and others peace. Thank you for being by my side for this reading, Adonai. High Priestess in reverse. Secrets. So it knows what we're trying to get to today, is we're trying to get through to the secrets that this poem holds. So I'm going to go by line, and I'm going to pull cards. So this might be a long one. Just warning you. All right, the Manchurian Doll by author unknown. They say that innocence prevails and evil cannot master time. Riches and fame and fortunes sow some evil seeds will grow to devour their progenitors. Okay, give me 2 cards about that line. They say innocence prevails and evil cannot master time. So we have the 4 of Swords in reverse. This is about being ready to act on something. Okay. So riches and fame and fortune sow some evil seeds will grow to devour their progenitors. Give me a card for that. Will grow to devour their progenitors. Ace of Swords. This is representing new insights and truth. Okay. Of 30 duo, some must know that they themselves will out their crimes and have. Of 30 duo, some must know that they themselves will out their crimes and have. Give me cards for that. Of 30 duo, some must know that they themselves will out their crimes and have. Knight of Swords. Success, driven by success. And very focused. This is also very fast energy. This is one of the fastest knights in the deck. Okay. So they say innocence prevails and evil cannot master time. Right? Right. But the riches and fame and fortunes sow some evil seeds. So the 4 of Swords in reverse is about like ready to act and recovery. So like ready to speak out on the evil that sows its seeds with rich and famous people. The dark side of wealth. Okay? It's pretty obvious. And the Ace of Swords is the breakthrough, the truth that's coming out. That really, in fact, evil can master time. Because the powers that be allow it to. Of 30 duo, some must know that they themselves will out their crimes and have. Success driven. to not out their crimes. So much work and drive and focus behind the scenes so that they can get away with it. Okay. Within an old man's fleeting leer, the cycle of the dolls came round. Okay. Within an old man's fleeting leer. Within an old man's fleeting leer. Leering, like, you know, like staring and gawking in a creepy way. Fleeting leer. So fleeting, it's quick. The cycle of the dolls came around. So we've got the Five of Swords in reverse. This is about peace after trouble. So what I'm feeling with this is, it's not like peace after trouble, but what it is like, you're going to get something out of it. We're going to, you know, it's not meant as remorse. It's not meant as reconciliation, but it's passed off as that. Like, you do this for us, you're going to benefit from it somehow. At least that's what they tell them. In my readings, my past readings with Jonbenet, when I was tapping into her being led down the stairs, as she was going down the stairs, she was like, oh, this is just what I do. This is normal, right? At the end of this, I'm going to get my treat, whatever it is. And like, as she was going down the stairs, she was like, yeah, this sucks, but I get my thing at the end. Okay. It poisoned sick the world's Yule cheer. It poisoned sick the world's Yule cheer. The star. Christmas star. A time for miracles. Time for Christmas miracles and faith and inspiration. But it poisoned sick the world's Yule cheer. Queen of Cups in reverse. And the King of Pentacles. This is referenced John more than once, as well as the Emperor card. This is a provider. This is reliable. This is a business person. This is abundance. And this is representing Patsy. So it ruined their Christmas. Okay. So that's referring to the parents. Their holidays being ruined. They use their own in passing down the ritual. Oh, yeah, this is fucked. They use their own in passing down the rituals, remain unfound, and Christmas break gives time to heal. So I was always wondering, why Christmas? Why did it happen on the day that it happened, right? You know, for all the sick things to happen to a child, you know, you'd think Christmas Day would at least give them a break. But no. And in my research, it is because Christmas break allows them to heal from their wounds and kind of not be as traumatized when they go back to school. So when I read this the first time, I was like, oh my God, that's actually true. Well, it's a connection, right? Allegedly true. And I need to say that, right? So they use their own in passing down the rituals, remain unfound, and Christmas break gives time to heal. Parties abound, all wounds congeal, but one. They use their own in passing down the rituals, remain unfound, and Christmas break gives time to heal. Parties abound, all wounds congeal. Queen of Cups in reverse again. Feelings of inadequacy. This is strength in reverse. This is inner turmoil, lack of confidence, feelings of inadequacy, everything that this abuse would put on a child. And blithely festive New Year's bash, some candidates en route stop there, as if by feigning toasts and cheer, undo the fatal sash the week before. So we're going to pretend that everything is fine. We're going to act like we normally would at parties. At blithely festive New Year's bash, some candidates en route stop there. A new material offer is made at that New Year's bash. A new opportunity. Candidates en route stop there, as if by feigning toasts and cheer. Queen of Pentacles. This is another parent. I don't believe it's Patsy. I'm not feeling like it's Patsy. But it is directly related to whoever made this offer. Toast, cheer, and undo the fatal sash the week before. Undo the fatal sash the week before. And there was an offer made. An offer to lighten the freaking load. 10 of Wands in reverse. This is lightening your load. Upright, it's a lot. It's heavy burden. Too many burdens. In reverse, this is lightening the load. So on that New Year's Eve, a material offer was made to the Ramseys, I believe. Allegedly, my opinion. By this person. And it was an offer to lighten their load somehow. So who would have motive to lighten their load? Like, who would benefit from doing a solid for the Ramseys? Lockheed Martin, maybe? They were in the midst of a deal with John's company, Access Graphics. It wouldn't benefit them if he got charged with murder or if he was, linked to something that happened with his daughter. Are they the ones that made them do the PR right away? And are they the ones that made them so untouchable from the cops? Because they had a lot to lose. They needed that deal to go through. Allegedly, my opinion. Okay. This is another line that really blew me away, because there's, in these rings that we're talking about, there are these people called handlers. And you know what their jobs is? Jobs are, can't talk. Their job is to teach the child how to perform for an adult, if you know what I mean, so that they enjoy themselves. Absolutely freaking appalling in every level. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, I'm like, is it that? At the beginning of this rabbit hole, I'm like, is it really that orchestrated? You know what I mean? But when I read this, and you'll see why. So the next line is, but handlers die, and what to do? Handlers die, and what to do? And I believe it was mentioned in this garage podcast. So please, if you haven't checked it out, do, because it's just going to give you more information about this. But they mentioned that there was these handlers. There's another person that came out about her connection to Fleet White. We know who Fleet White is, right? The Ramsey's friend that they had a falling out with. Well, this woman was in her 30s when she came out, and she's from California, and she said that she was abused ritualistically through her whole life. Her parents pimped her out to other people, friends of the family, people in the same organization, and abused her. And they would use the same type of instrument that was around Jonbenet's neck. And what she also said was that when you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, like what the handler taught you to do, they'd hit you over the head with something to discipline you. Yeah. And the same lady said that the particular handler that she was talking about passed away. So then fast forward a few years, this poem surfaces, and lo and behold, but handlers die, and what to do? Let's get some cards for that. But handlers die, and what to do? Oh my God, there's the Ten of Pentacles. This card has represented the dark side of wealth, the familial passing down of these ritualistic things. And it was like this handler, whoever was with Jonbenet that night, I don't believe it was her parents. I believe it was either a family friend or a handler. They were not in self-control mode. They were not balanced. They were extremely affluent, and they were, they had high status. But this person was not in control. They had no self-control. And they either weren't paying attention, and that's kind of what I picked up on. How do I say this? They were enjoying themselves too much and didn't pay attention to the state that Jonbenet was in. By the time they realized, and in my vision, so vivid, they realize that she's unconscious, that she's dead, she's not breathing. And they get angry, and I didn't see them hit her over the head with something. What I saw was picking her up and bashing her head into the ground in frustration. Allegedly, my opinion, I know that's a really awful, an awful thing to describe. It's just what I saw. Anyway. With Christmas nigh, the one in lieu did air. With Christmas nigh, the one in lieu did air. St. John would roll over in his grave to know the smut that crossed his name. With Christmas nigh, the one in lieu did air. St. John would have rolled over in his grave to know the smut crossed his name. There's that material offer again. And here's the Three of Pentacles. Collaboration, teamwork. An offer of strength. An offer made of strength by three people, or a group of people. Really, this is like teamwork, collaboration, having shared goals. So, and then we got the Ten of Wands upright this time, heavy burdens. Obligation. So, this is all of the forces that played a hand in this larger scheme, if you will. They all had obligations to relieve the heavy burden because they're all affiliated with it. So it's like their best interest was to help each other in that moment. Okay, yet Christmas Day, he held her near, as if he knew she'd disappear that very night. Yet Christmas Day he held her near as if he knew she'd disappear that very night. Betrayal. The Seven of Swords upright. Deception. Getting away with something. Scheming. Sneakiness. Betrayal. Strategy. Oh my God. And this is specifically referencing John. He held her close that night as if he knew she'd disappear. What more can we get from that line? Did he know who did it? There's the freaking Strength card again. Respect. Influence. 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 He was influenced by other people on what to do after. And this is also persuasion. Like, he had no choice. Like, he really didn't have any choice in the matter. He had to deceive. He had to scheme. He had to strategize along with everybody else that was a part of it. Allegedly, my opinion. An elder cleric's errant son. Okay. An elder cleric's errant son, his extant crush, now on the run. Did the supply the candidates fodder? I don't know what fodder is. F-A-D-E-R. Hang on one sec. I'm going to Google it. A device or control for varying the volume of sound, the intensity of light, or the gain on a video or audio signal. So it's referring to videos, pictures. An elder cleric's errant son. What does errant mean? Hang on. Erring or straying from the proper course or standards. Okay, so an elder cleric's wayward son, basically. Someone who's the black sheep of the family. Not following in line with his father or family, whatever, right? His extant crush, now on the run. So is the person that did this, okay, I'm assuming that is who they had to get out of town and who's on the run, is a love interest of this cleric's wayward son. That's making me feel like he's gay. An elder cleric's errant son. So we're talking about religious people. Someone who strays away from, what was it? Someone who strays from the proper course or standards of their religion. That to me is a gay person because they're not accepted. His extant crush on the run. I always felt this was a male that did this to Jonbenet, not a female. We need to find out who this cleric is and who the damn son is. And then from there, we can decide, okay, who is close to him. Okay. So an elder cleric's errant son, his extant crush, now on the run, did they supply the candidates fodder for their lewd fun, as in their lewd email, the stuff they trade online, right? This was the early days of the internet. Okay, let me read it again. An elder cleric's errant son, his extant crush now on the run, did they supply the candidates fodder for their lewd fun? Do tell. Well, tell us. What can you tell me about what I just wrote? Oh gosh, okay. We've got fast communication. We've got direct communication. So that's interesting. A fast and direct communication. Is that email communication? Like that's pretty direct, it's pretty fast. Or is this like a phone call or in person? I'm not sure. But let's just keep going. So we've got a fast and direct communication. From the Three of Pentacles, from the candidates. What more? Seven of Swords again. Betrayal, deception, lying. Well, that's deception. Scheming, strategy, getting away with something. Getting away with something. He's on the run. He's getting away with the murder. Anything more you can tell us? We've got here the Knight of Cups upright. This is a diplomatic negotiator. And then we have the Sun in reverse, which is negativity, delays. Delayed gratification. Truth blazes in, but from McFar. I think that is a name, okay? The hunt teams... Okay, wait. Truth blazes in, but from McFar. The hunt team's snare was too adept with keen eyes placed to guard the bar. The talk of dolls and silence kept. They tripped the truth while jurors prepped, then sacked the hunter as inept. So that's Alex Hunter, the DA. Truth blazes in, but from McFar, the hunt team's snare was too adept with keen eyes placed to guard the bar. Keen eyes placed to guard the bar, as in we're putting spies in to watch, like, legal bar, right? Like, not the drinking bar, but the legal bar. The talk of dolls, right, to guard the bar, the talk of dolls, so to make sure nobody was talking about anything about that. And silence kept. So keeping silence. We're watching you and we're making sure that you don't fucking talk. Pardon my French. Oh my God, guarded. The Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Guarded. That's what that card is meaning. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is a very hardworking, committed, stoic, and conservative person that's patient. Is this a person that was hired to guard the bar? They tripped the truth while jurors prepped, then sacked the hunter as inept. They tripped the truth while jurors prepped. Plans falling apart. Two of Wands. In reverse. The fear. This is playing it safe. This is avoiding risk. And it's like a lack of plans. As in, they were never planning on bringing this to trial. They acted like it, but they weren't going to. But hunters now the hunted are. The hunters are. The hunted are. Oh, wait. The hunters now the hunted are. Death's Officer Perfetti. I think that's also a name. Okay. Okay, so this is one row. We've got this again, the Ace of Pentacles again. We have the Knight of Swords again. Moving to calmer waters. And the Sword of Truth. There was an offer made that was very direct and driven for success to move on to calmer waters and, like, don't work this thing. Sword of Truth. Truth and breakthrough. Oh, this is going to be a long one. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Death's officer Perfetti bared through taints of roofs, fast disappeared. No antidote that Snow White spared. The other signs were clearly there. Justice, upright. Yes, the signs were clearly there. The other signs clearly there, yet all were hastily interred and silky dressed and golden haired. Truth slept. Nine of Wands. Perseverance. Family dynasty. This is where the truth slept. Some of it anyway. What more can you tell us about that? Inner clarity, purpose. Of one who died outstretched on high most... Okay. Of one who died outstretched on high most Oh, sorry, it's the cadence I'm getting wrong. Of one who died outstretched on high, most gentle hands his swaddle made, and then spoke, real cloth she laid, nor twins replayed round captive limb. This is so weird. I don't really understand it. Like I kind of do. So, yet all were hastily interred and silky dressed and golden haired. Truth slept of one who died outstretched on high. Most gentle hands his swaddle made, and then spoke, real close she laid, nor twins replayed round captive limb. This mortal braid is our demise when angels perish in its vice. If you notice in the crime scene photos of, and I don't believe it's a traditional garrote, I was able to identify two different knots mixed together, a slip knot and something called a toggle knot, where you attach a stick on like a braided piece of rope, and that was attached to the slip knot that was around her neck. It's not a traditional garrote. However, it can be used in the same manner as a garrote. But if you look in the picture, it's braided. Where the paintbrush is attached to it, it's about this long, I would imagine, of this intricate type of braid. That's what this mortal braid is, our demise when angels perish in its vice, cutting off the airflow. What can you tell us about this mortal braid? Three of Swords. Heartache, hurt, loss, trauma, pain, sorrow, all of it. Okay, we're done. Page 1. Thank you. This is an awful poem, and I just want to get through it. Betrayed by kindred's golden lies, as purloined justice turn blind eyes. Betrayed by kindred's golden lies. Keeping the information close to your chest. Being possessive over it, not divulging it. For long-term gain, for long-term security. The Lovers, a choice. And this is also about unions. Disgusting. Betrayed by kindred's lies, as purloined justice turn blind eyes. Give me a card for turning blind eyes. Justice turning blind eyes. Moving on to calmer waters. The DA's office. A panic lapse left unsurmised. A panic lapse left unsurmised. As in they panic and they had a lapse in judgment and wrote that stupid note. Doesn't make any sense. And here we have the Two of Cups. Partnership. Relationship. This is referring to Patsy and John's bond together and their commitment to write that stupid note. That stupid ransom note that was so stupid. Don't even understand that. Like, but in my readings, it came up that they hid her down there so that somebody could come in and remove her body. But that never happened. So it was like they delegated a task to somebody else and it was never fulfilled. But I'm going to maybe revisit that because I didn't touch on it that deeply. Okay, let's go to the next. Clues carried home already. Clues carried home already. Prone sleep. Okay. A panic lapse left unsurmised. However, one must... Oh, no. A panic lapse left unsurmised. Clues carried home already. Prone sleep guised. Okay, I'm going to try to read this and it's just so it makes more sense. Okay. A panic lapse left unsurmised. Clues carried home already prone sleep guised. However, one must study the greats. Take, for example, William Yeats, who spoke about Byzantium. No governor could stop the run your split. Oh my God, I can't read my own writing. Governor could stop in the run your split took its toll, and planning took control. Your race, oh my God, I don't know what the fuck I wrote. Sorry. Clues carried home already prone sleep guys. However, one must study the greats to take for example, William Yeats, who spoke about Byzantium. No governor could stop the run. Your split took its toll and planning took control. Your race spun out of control. Things fall apart. Your race spun out of control. Things fall apart. The Antichrist lurks in the head. It festers in the carnal eye. The Antichrist lurks in the head and festers in the carnal eye, which takes young victims from their bed to suffer that and then to die. Now vacant, half-glazed tears are shed from ambidextrous authors' stead. There was allegations that Patsy was ambidextrous, so she could write with both her left and her right hand. Now vacant, half-glazed tears, as in, you know exactly what happened to your daughter, and you're acting like you're a victim. One doll, now grown, hides in dread. Another Manchurian candidate is dead. What can you tell me? Lack of progress, as in the case. The Nine of Wands. The Last Stand. All right, so this was eye-opening, to say the least. I'm not sure if you want me to do a reading on the first poem. I will do that. I'm hoping I can actually find it online so I don't have to spend 2 hours of like transcribing it. And I didn't write it in the proper like cadence. So that's why it sounded like it was all over the place, because I'm not a poet. A poet. Anyway, that's that. I'm going to pull some whispers to see what they want to say about this case, and then I will say goodnight. Oh, let's do a missing variables. Give me 1 or 2 missing variables that have to do with what I just read and the Jonbenet Ramsey investigation. Okay, I'm going to use my die because I'm not sure which one. I think there's a few, but I want to pinpoint it. Oh, what does it say? What does that say? 3? Yeah, 3. Okay. Wild cards in crime or global events. 1, unpredictability and upheaval. Well, excuse me. This note was definitely unpredictable. This poem, I should say. Like, wow. I have never heard of that poem in any of my Jonbenet Ramsey research. In the ashes of chaos, new worlds are born. When the unexpected reigns, the rules no longer apply. How true is that to what we're experiencing and learning lately with the forces that be? The rules no longer apply to them. Rules sure didn't apply to them with Jonbenet Ramsey, and that is, everybody failed that little girl. Her parents did. Her society did. Everybody did. And they're still failing her. All right, guys. Let's get some whispers and call it a night. Celebrity in reverse. So this is everybody knowing about it. This is not everybody knowing about it. Affluence. This card comes up when I'm reading into people that are corrupt and have affluence and power. Yep, definitely all part of it. A Manchurian candidate is actually political, or it's used to infiltrate countries, and that does have to do with politics. So, timeline issue. We can't trust the Ramseys of their timeline at all. So maybe the next reading I will run away and escape. They're trying to run away from the truth. I think what I'm going to do is specifically look into the proper timeline. Not sure how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to structure the reading, but that is my intention. That is my intention. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched to this point, wow, you're awesome. And yeah. Comment with a black heart if you watch to the end. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm going to post those 2 podcast episodes in the description so that you can hear all of it yourself. And he's also going to read the poems, so you'll get to hear that from him too. And I will see you next time.